Warlocks and Waffles. Warlocks and Waffles. Warlocks and Waffles. Pact once broken, forged. A pact once broken, forged anew. Waffles. Warlocks and Waffles. Warlocks and Waffles. A pact once broken, forged anew. Warlocks and Waffles.
Did you want waffles?
Good morning and welcome to Warlocks and Waffles. Oh man, you know what this episode is gonna be, Junie?
What is it?
Another one. Anyway, welcome to the show. This is Warlocks and Waffles. We are a TTRPG morning show, as I'm sure you are aware. The only TTRPG morning show that is on right now with both of us on it. Welcome to the show. We are gonna do our best to do a show. Junie logged on and was like, nature has attempted life against me. And I haven't slept in 1,000 years. So that's a great combination. We should go and do a show right now. Good morning. Welcome.
Yes.
Junie, do you find that it's very rare that when one of us is like, I'm ready, like, this is not gonna go well, the other person is like, yeah, I'm ready, let's do it? I feel like it's almost always when one person's like, I'm dying, the other person's like, me too, let's do this show.
Yeah.
um
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so
I really believed I was gonna just fight off whatever this it's allergies, but it's just so funny. It's like I'm like, oh, it'll get better after like 5 minutes of me talking, or like, oh, I just need to splash some water on my face.
uh-huh.
And then I realize that you're an idiot, Junie, and
Oh,
that's not how that's good. It's just not gonna go
I
away.
thought I was being attacked.
No, no, no.
And then I realized you're an idiot, Hunter.
No, it's just me to myself, me in the mirror, like, you're an
Mhm.
idiot. You know that's not just gonna work out that way. It's not always dreamland and candies. And it's just slapping, and then my family's confused. I'm still looking for a prop.
Junie got into this call and
Hunter
immediately
pointed out that apparently my prop work jumps up, skyrockets proportionally to how sick I'm feeling. So right now, my hands are just like, I need something, a switchblade, something like.
oh man, yeah. Whenever like Junie is a big fan of prop comedy, but when he that was so loud.
Oh, what's it? I'm so sorry.
You're good. Junie's a big fan of prop comedy. However, that jumps up tremendously the moment he is a little bit sick. As soon as he's a little bit sick, he's like, I need a prop. Like, the prop is gonna be what gets this to be funny.
It's like I need a tool to, like, do like a crutch. There we go. It's a crutch.
Sure.
Yeah.
How's your weekend?
I flew a drone yesterday for
That's
a
cool.
while. That was kind of fun. You ever know what it's like to fly? It's like that. I
Yeah.
almost ran into a tree. It was very like, I felt like that would happen in real life if I was really flying. I'd be like, ooh, yeah. And then fuck. So that was cool. Did some photography.
Nice.
It was good to just be out, and then came home. And an hour later, I was like, "Oh, apparently, do dogs and nature make me get sniffly? Apparently, that might be the case." But it was I got to just go away, just me, and I was just like, "All right, I don't have to think about anything else right now. Just goof around and take pictures and stuff and fly around." So it was good to just get to go away for a little bit. So
Yeah.
I had a brief 2 or 3 hours of just like me. So that was fun.
Nice.
What about you? Yeah.
We had a wedding on Saturday, third wedding in the last month.
My God.
So we had that on Saturday. And that was a lot of fun. Got to the last two
Get it
weddings
together,
that we
man.
I know, I'm a mess.
Jesus Christ. Yo, I love and hate my vibe right now. I love that I don't know where my eyes are, but I also
It's a
hate my
vibe.
fucking self right now. That's too real. I meant I hate the glasses look, but at the same time.
the way that your eyes look through the glasses is very, very funny because you absolutely cannot tell if they're open or not.
Oh,
Like
that's so funny. I'm
you
just
can
always like,
you can just see your eyes, but you cannot tell if they are open or not.
all right, they are
Um,
open. That is fun.
but the
I'll
last
blink a
two,
lot, and hopefully that'll like give people the like, oh, he's really awake.
yeah, the last two weddings we've been to, one of them was a family wedding that like I didn't really drink all that much at. And the other one was at a was one that Grace was a bridesmaid in, so she was busy the whole time. This one was just one of Grace's friends, so we didn't have to be like on top of things. We didn't have to we were just guests at the wedding. So we got to just kind of cut loose and have some fun, which was nice. And then yesterday, Grace and I are going on a road trip next weekend. And so yesterday I went out and picked up like snacks and stuff like that for the road trip, which is always a good time. But yeah, other than that, just chilling. Started a new Baldur's Gate run.
Oh God.
It's been a bit. I had taken time away from it, and then was like, I should try like putting mods and stuff in and see what that's like. Like tried out some of the mods that were out there. There's one for like Artificer and Asimar and stuff like that, which was very, very cool. Junie,
What's up?
today on the show, we're
This one.
talking. Yes, this show.
Oh,
Not the other one that we do secretly during the same time slot.
it's under the table, y'all. You ought to pay a lot of extra for that. That's a lot.
There is a common beginning to games. And I feel like most GMs and most players have experienced it at some point, which is the game starting in a tavern. That can be a just a jumping off point where it's like, okay, well, we're starting here, and then like we go off on our way. We've seen adventures where the adventure kind of is connected to the tavern and revolves around it. There's adventures where the tavern serves as sort of a home base, and the players come back to it over and over again. But as a rule, most adventures end up having some form of tavern in the game. I don't know about you. I have been a player in games many times where the tavern was just meh. It's just a tavern. It's like, yeah, there's a tavern in town. Cool. We go to the tavern. Cool. You guys get some food, you get some drinks, you get a room. Extent of interaction with tavern. I'm also guilty as a GM of doing this occasionally as well. If I'm like, I don't really want this tavern to be somewhere that the players are having like extensive interactions. This is just a like, you need a room for the night sort of situation. But I feel like, especially when you're starting the game, if you are doing you meet in a tavern sort of like intro to the session, the tavern needs to have more. The tavern needs to be a bit more fleshed out, because one of the worst parts about you start in a tavern, sort of start to the adventure, is it doesn't necessarily give you a whole lot to play off of right at the beginning. It's like you've talked about, you like dropping people in like in the middle of action, like running on rooftops, stuff like that, and it's like, okay, and describe what you're doing, that sort of thing. One of the reasons that works is it pulls people in right away. They are immediately sort of like connected to the story and they're doing something. In a tavern, it is very much okay, what did you order to drink? Like, are you staying here? What did you do before that? Like, you have to establish previous things. And so I think it is important that if you are starting in a tavern, that tavern be kind of fleshed out and have interesting elements for the characters to explore, so that they have something to interact with and connect with right off the bat. Does that all resonate for you?
Yeah. It's funny you were like, I try to start an action because even if I like for one shots where I'm like, all right, you're in this tavern, I try to make the what are you drinking, what are you ordering type of
Yeah.
thing. I try to make that almost like a cinematic like table sweep because it's how everybody's going to be introducing their characters. So I'll be like, who want, we'll decide who goes first. And then I was like, do you want to eat something? You want to drink something? And then I'll be like, this place has got it. And I'm just gonna like I always make it that the place has it for something where it's just like I'm not gonna go like them asking for it, whatever. And then we roll, and it's kind of like I try to get a roll in real quick as possible. But for like if it's like a throw, like if it's like a one shot, I know I try to go there there's minimal things going on just so that way it's like everything matters. So like I run the Great Sheep Chase a lot, and the
Yeah,
tavern I
you love
used in the
that
very
one.
beginning, it's literally like the barkeep, one dude, and then people will come in.
Yeah.
There's other features and stuff like that, but like there's food, but I make it so they don't get lost in the sauce of like I accidentally describe an NPC too interesting, or you know what I mean. So it's I make the one guy that's there, I make him really suspicious.
Yeah.
He's just and the way I do it is just he's eating bread, and everybody always freaks out. It's literally I was just like he's there, he's just eating bread. Every once in a while he'll look over because you're the only other people here,
Mhm.
but he's just there. He takes up a big old loaf of bread and he just chews it, looks over at you, keeps chewing them, keeps looking forward. And everybody freaks out. Everybody's like, that guy's fucking evil. And I just make him that he's like a nosy busybody. He's just looking because he's like curious. But like I'm like dude eating bread is like a trigger for people. It's like, oh, that motherfucker's he's planning something.
Yeah.
That dude's plotting. He's the reason we're here. And then like the it's a helpful barkeep.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like what we're going to have to tackle is what are the main elements of a tavern,
Yeah.
and then what can you get away with bare bones, and
Yeah.
what can you like not get away with, because even if you're phoning it in, you're going to need a structure of some sort,
Oh,
a
absolutely.
cart,
Yeah.
a like roadside stand. That's not in my opinion, like a tavern. You
Sure.
can't get away with like, it's like, oh look, it's a floating patio and it has an awning and it's a tavern. It's like,
Mhm.
all right, well, there's got to be some other things. There has to be at least a person working there
Yeah.
that knows things. It's never just he's serving drinks. They always know things.
The barkeep is a source of like a source of information and inspiration, but information is the key like part of any good bartender. I think it's interesting that you go with like in your one shot, like we're starting in a tavern, you go with there's one guy here to kind of like point
Yeah.
them in
Like so
that
there's something
direction.
dynamic, and it's not
Yeah.
literally just like an empty Applebee's essentially.
It's an open space so they can decide what to do, but also
Mhm.
like there is a clear like this is a person that you're gonna have to talk to if you want to like find any information sort of thing. That's interesting.
No, I don't want to talk to that guy.
Oh.
So that's the funny part. He is the red herring. It's literally like I have him in there, and there's a sheep that's gonna barge in, and that's where it kicks off. But I
Got it.
give them
Got it.
the initial playroom of
You got
what do you want to
you've
order.
got one dude who is like a
One dude.
potential to talk to, but you shouldn't.
Correct. And once they talk to him, they realize that he sucks and he's
Yeah.
just like annoying.
That's
and
really funny.
if they ask the barkeep or if anybody's from the town, it's like
Yeah.
this is Darian. He runs a local like gossip column. He's just nosy as hell. That's why he's so suspicious. But then
I don't
but
know
then they
why
realize
there's something so funny to me about like just some guy in a tavern who writes like a very small town article.
oh, 1000%.
It's like,
Yeah, it's
there's
essentially
not-
like a blog. Yeah,
This town isn't big enough to have a newspaper.
Correct.
He
that
handwrites
guy.
flyers and just sticks them out in the town square.
1,000,000%. But then
It's called
but
like Darius's
shows,
dirt.
yeah, that's what it is now. I'll tell you that. But I do that to teach them something right away. Where it's just like, just because Junie described something, like now they don't trust anything I've said from
Sure.
now on.
Yeah.
Because now it's gonna be, do we need to check that out or not? All right, we don't. That's probably just another one. This whatever. But they'll have to like make that decision. They'll have to have that
Right.
that debate now where
You're
it's just
teaching
like
them
they
the
could
very
just,
important lesson right off the bat, which is never trust Junie.
well, one, correct, but two, it's the no one wants to play a game where it's just clearly, all right, this is the next thing. This is
Right.
the next thing. Even if it is like railroady and like, yes, we got to go do this mission, it shouldn't feel that way.
Right.
It should give the illusion that there are like options and different twists and turns, and there will always be something that you can gain from these tangents,
Hmm.
an element of world building or just like a fun experience. It doesn't have to be like it drives the plot further. It shouldn't derail everything to the point. So I always have the discovery be relatively quick. So that's why I make him just a throwaway character like that, where it's like they'll go off the it's like a maze. If you go left or right, left is like a pitfall, and then right is everything else. It's just he's that little bit of like a, oh, he sucks, and or the barkeep will be like, hey, don't, I told you to stop harassing our customers, and like, and that's it. And they're like, okay, they'll dismiss him.
Right. I'm a I kind of go the other direction with my it makes sense with what you're doing because you're wanting to transition into Wild Cheap Chase. I with my, you start in a tavern. I don't use it often. But I have a one shot that I ran a lot for like beginners and intro learn to play sort of stuff. And my go-to was like starting them in a tavern because it's a classic. And what I would do is my pitch for the actual one shot was always very very limited in the content that was like disclosed up front. Because what it was I actually had like 5 different one shots that could be ran. And what I would do is they would get into the tavern, and then the tavern had like 5 different people that are all like sitting in there, and depending on who they talk to, each of the people that they talk to has a quest that they could go on for that person, and then that allows them to have the ability to kind of like choose where they want to go, without it being like crazy overwhelming. And so what I've leaned towards is having very like very specific NPCs. So in that setup, I have the bartender, who's this like gnarled, grizzled looking red dragonborn. They've got like one horn that's kind of broken. They've got like scars and stuff just all over them. There's just this really intimidating looking red dragonborn as the bartender. Then sitting at the bar, you have a dwarven man with a pickaxe hanging from his belt, and a backpack that's sitting like next to his stool. He is sitting up at the bar. He is fully asleep. He is laying face down into a bowl of stew, with his face just kind of turned slightly to the side. And I always describe it as you can tell that he's been laying there for a while, because the stew has cooled down and has begun congealing into his beard.
I feel like I've heard this description before.
Yeah, I like it. It's
Yeah.
the first time I thought of a dwarf just like snoring and little bubbles of stew coming up. I found that very, very funny. Then you have sitting by the fireplace, there's a Goliath just wearing like bandit armor with just a massive greatsword and kind of like sharpening the blade next to the fire. You have a an elven man with like gray hair kind of tightly pulled behind his head and sort of a very well trimmed goatee wearing gray robes, who's sitting over near the window at a table, kind of looking over some maps and charts and seems to be like writing some stuff down. And then there is a gnome who has got bright blue hair and like this very Hunger Games-esque like waves to his beard and mustache that comes out in curls.
Okay.
And he is sitting at a table by himself with like a dozen empty cups sitting at the table, and he's just kind of like rocking back and forth in his chair. And I always describe it as he will rock back onto the back two legs of the chair and go until just as the chair begins to like fall out from underneath him, and then he just kind of like catches himself on the table, and then we'll like begin doing the like that push back again, and the whole time he's just kind of singing quietly to himself drunkenly. And those are my tavern NPCs of like pretty much every group I've ever run for. When they enter the tavern, will lock on to one of those. They might have multiple, but usually there is one of them that will like jump out to them as, oh yeah, this is a mission we want to go on. And I've always found that fun. I missed it earlier. C17R in the chat. I think when you were talking about your like NPC that you don't want the players to interact with.
Oh yeah.
Said strong Mike Normal Man vibes. Which Mike Normal Man was an NPC in one of my games. I think I've talked about them before. They were a Goliath wearing an obviously fake mustache. And the party had been hired as like security to ensure that like there were no assassination attempts at this like very high profile wedding, and so they saw this Goliath walking around wearing an obviously fake mustache, and they like went over to talk to him, and he gave them a business card, and it said Mike Normal Man, and then underneath it said assassin, but assassin was crossed out and it said businessman.
Ass man. It says ass man.
Yes. It's just
So
assassin, but the like second half of it is like crossed off, so it's just ass at the beginning, and then it says biznet at the front, so it says business assin man.
business man. I'm a business man. Oof. Yeah.
It's just the
that's good.
second ass crossed out, and so it's business man instead, like the N is turned
Yep.
into an M. Yeah, you all understand what I'm trying
Yeah,
to say.
everybody went on this
Anyway,
journey.
we
with
all
this
went on the
business card
same
set.
journey
So we're gonna open up a Canva page while we're gonna like design
where we're gonna
this
start
business
building
card.
this business card.
But two things while you were describing that. One, I feel like I need a cigar. I feel like a shitty music or network producer, and I feel like you were pitching a show, and I feel like I should have been like this, like I fucking love it. I just felt like I needed a cigar the whole time.
Just
I hate these glasses.
pointing at me with the cigar. You're just like, you're gonna go all the way, kid. You're gonna go all the way.
You're onto something. This is people are gonna be wearing soup.
Unrelated, but like tangent off of what you just said.
Okay.
One of my groups,
More soup.
No, they recently interacted with an NPC, they were in a town of like monsters, like it's monstrous races, so it's the like orcs,
Okay.
goblins, bugbears, ogres, like some giants, like stuff like that.
Okay.
And they were like in this town. They had no money, no weapons, nothing. They're in this town. They're like, we need to find a place to like get some work. And they found out that there was a fighting arena. They decided they were going to enter the fighting arena, but they didn't have like gold to do like the entrance fee to get into the fighting arena. So they went and found a sponsor to like sponsor them in the arena. And so the sponsor that they ended up getting was a this ogre, who I described as wearing like a button-up shirt with a tie and a vest and like a fedora with a feather sticking out of it. And he had a big, just a massive cigar in his mouth. And he introduced himself as Mr. Big. And he sponsored them in their arena fight. They went up against a death tyrant, which is like an undead beholder.
Yeah.
One of them died. 3 of them got petrified, so there was only 1 of them left. When that person went to leave the fight, Mr. Big met them at the exit and was like, "That was amazing, kid. You did so good. I'm so impressed. That like the crowd loved you. Do you want to go double or nothing?" And he was like, what do you mean?" He's like, "If you go back into the arena right now, we'll get you another contender. Like we'll put him in there with you. You can double your money right now. You want to do double or nothing?" And the the person who was still up was like, I mean, I need to get my friends like unpetrified and like one of
Undead.
them's
I need
dead
to
and
get
stuff.
them,
Like I
like,
need to get them taken
alive,
care of.
please.
And he's like, "Oh, if you go in and double or nothing, like you'll have so much money. Like you can absolutely get that taken care of. If you just do this." Like he's like, "Oh well, can you like take care of my friend who's like dead? Like can you find somebody to do it?" He's like, "Absolutely. Let me go. I'll get that taken care of while you're in the fight. Like it'll be great."
I love it that it's like, no, you're gonna go in by yourself. It's not
Yeah.
even like it's like, oh yeah, let's go back in there, let's get everybody. It's like, no, baby, you're gonna go in
You're gonna go
solo,
back in
solo, dolo.
double or
You're gonna
nothing.
go
It's
in.
gonna be great.
You're gonna go in,
It
make it big.
was you're gonna be the next big star.
He has to say make it big, or like there's
Yeah.
just the word big is thrown in too many times. It's
The-
like this guy's all about branding.
It was so funny because it was like when I introduced him, he was just gonna be this sort of like very like uh very like wealthy ogre who was just like, yeah, I'll throw
Jesus.
some coin at these newbies. Like it's worth it to see them fight in the arena. That'll be fun. And very quickly he became this like extremely predatory agent sort of vibes where he's just like, "You're gonna make it big, kid."
Here's the you did not describe this part, but this is the headcanon that I have. You said that they needed to find a sponsor, right?
Mhm.
And what I imagine the order of events is them going and it's like, oh, you need an entry fee. And it's like, oh, we don't have that.
Mhm.
Okay. And then they huddle up. It's like, all right, so we need to figure out an entry fee or like find a sponsor or something like that.
Yeah.
And then before that sentence is completed, out of the shadows, like 2-3 feet to the left. So it looks like you all need a
Looking like you need a
sponsor.
sponsor.
It looks like a couple of small fries trying to make it big. Allow me to introduce myself. And then it's just like,
Mr. Big.
who the fuck are you? It's just like out of left field.
I wish I could say that it was that cool, but actually
That's cool. It sounded creepy.
They
It sounded
went
like
they
it's
went
just
to
like,
a they went to a tavern.
hello.
It's all connected. They went to a tavern. They went to a
Where else is
tavern
the
and
underground
did
fight ring?
a
It's always a tavern.
they did a performance where they played music and asked for sponsors.
So he literally
anyway,
like a record exec, like,
yeah.
I like
don't know
your
what
sound.
it is about them.
I
There's
like your-
something here.
I like your sound. You know what? Let's get you into a death fight.
Let's get you into blood sports.
Yeah, like, hold on, wait a second. It's just like, hey, if you can play a battle axe the way you can play that lute, we might be able to strike up a deal.
It's the age-old expression. If you can dodge a hammer, you can dodge a ball, and if you can play bagpipes, you can play blood sports. So anyway,
We're gonna find a way to make these glasses make me want to do this character all day.
they are good. I like the glasses.
I forgot these are Shanice's. I forgot they exist, that they're over here. I took them for something, and then I hate myself when I wear this because it does bring that douche character to the front. Like it
What's
is.
what's really
It,
funny is the cord of your headphones. I absolutely thought was just like a
Like a chain?
chain that you would
Like
put on. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Junie before the show asked me what his vibe was. Like when we got into when the show went live and Junie was already laughing. It's because right before we went live, Junie asked me, "What sort of vibe am I putting out right now?" And my immediate response was hungover DJ Khaled. Which and then I immediately pushed go live. Oh man. Anyway,
Don't you
taverns.
drink water? That's just for me.
I can drink water if I want to.
No, you put that down. I redeem points to say Hunter put down the water. You hope there was an anti-hydration
Hunter
point.
must dehydrate. Hunter's not allowed to pick up any drinks.
Hunter,
That's a
dehydrate.
punishment. I usually have at least 2 different drinks on my desk during the show.
So
Thank you for redeeming hydrate for me, Rosie. I appreciate you.
we've kind of touched on something else that is potentially an important facet of a tavern is the food. Oh no. Yeah, if you're gonna die, you're gonna die big. Hydrate.
Hey, you gotta make
What?
your constitution safe. Kids drinking water.
So a tavern
Yes,
does not necessarily mean restaurant.
correct. It could just be a bar.
I many times do kind of make them because I tried, it's kind of like family friendly. I have teens and families.
Right. You
I
run a lot
do-
of like younger groups.
Yeah. I tend to make it kind of not an Applebee's, but the equivalent of there's food here, so it's more bar and grill type of
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
And really
Welcome to Red Robin.
Here, what I love is because when I do this one tavern, because this one-shot tavern is because there's so few elements, I could really like put them out there. So I really go in on the guy eating the bread.
Right.
But my other thing is the barkeep, right? And I have a whole backstory in case anybody's ever come up with it. Like, right?
If you are
I always
a GM and you have an NPC who you just think is funny, give them full convoluted backstories. It's so funny to me
worse,
when a
dude.
player like
so bad.
trips into backstory stuff for
Oh, yeah.
for an NPC. I love it. I love giving my NPCs
It's
backstory.
always like a large half-orc man. I make him like way more handsome than he needs to be, right? Like
Mhm.
depending on what the group is how much I describe how handsome he is, right? How ruggedly handsome. And I always go, he is cleaning one cup and spending entirely too much time cleaning the cup.
Meticulous.
And he's like lost in thought. So the two people they can interact with if they're not interacting with each other before the sheep barges in
right.
is dude eating bread and dude lost in thought. And then if they go to order food, he's like, hi, yeah, what can I get you? And then the food is always like really good. Like just
Right.
like I have them roll and it's like, I want a shukshasa. Like it's just like they have it. Let's roll, see if it's good. It's like, it's better than I always say it's better than you'd expect.
Right.
right? And
I feel
and
like
if they
I feel like a very relatable experience for a lot of people is going
Mhm.
somewhere and ordering something that you're like, why do they have this here? Like this
Mhm.
is such a
Yep.
weird thing for them to, and then you order it and you're like, why is this really good?
Yeah, I think it was either a prime rib sandwich or a cheesesteak. I think it was a prime rib like dip sandwich that was the best sandwich I ever had in my life at this one place me and Shanice was at, and I was just like, "This is the best sandwich I've ever had," and I was not prepared. And this was a throwaway, like, "Oh, I'll get this. It's kind of like a cheesesteak," and it was the best thing ever.
I've said it before. The best like Chinese food I have ever had in my entire life is in the jungle of Ecuador.
Yeah, you did tell me this. I do know this.
There is
fact.
a tiny this one tiny little Chinese food place in deep in the jungle. Like not in the jungle, but like down in the like jungle part of Ecuador.
The mighty jungle.
Yeah, where the lion sleeps tonight. Um, but yeah, it's always a fun experience to be like, this is way better than it has any right to be.
So that would lead it to go like, oh, this guy's a professional chef in a small thing. No, he's actually like he's an aspiring actor. Like it's always a thing, right? I gave him a very so like depending on which route they go, if they go
Yeah.
the food tangent, if they go the acting route, because like it was just like, what do you? Because I had one group, it's just like, um he's distracted. What are you thinking about? And it's more of like an audition he couldn't go to. it's, they think that's the plot line. Like, no, sheep Bart is in. That's not the plot line.
Yeah,
It's like, do we help him with the thing? He's just like, no. And whether or not they bring the sheep with them, if they leave him there, he always brings out like a giant battle axe, and just puts it on the counter. It's just like, well, it's okay. I could. I mean, no one's gonna mess with us, type of thing. Almost like he can also defend himself. Why
Right.
does it? It's like equivalent to having a shotgun underneath the counter.
Right.
So it's just like he just has that right there
Yeah.
available. There's a lot to this guy for no
Yeah.
reason. We really need to come back and explore this, and I'll never let them. I'm never gonna let them figure out his deal. He is just there for me, for
Right.
me to like.
It's just
it's
just
funny
a
to me that
GM
he's
bit.
just there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
But like knowledgeable people,
Yeah.
Food of some sort. And I think that even if you go, it's not a restaurant,
mhm.
there is sustenance of
Yeah.
some sort. It
Yeah.
isn't just drink.
I'm a
And
big
it's
fan
kind of
of
like you can
the
play off
we
of
have
it's shitty too.
yeah. I'm a big
Yeah.
fan of the like tavern that only has like two options.
Yeah.
Where it's
Mhm.
like because realistically in a like medieval sort of environment, you wouldn't have walked in and been like, well, what do you have? Like let me
Oh
look
yeah,
at
let me
look
give me
at
your
the
selection
menu.
of like yeah,
Like in
proteins,
a
yeah.
world where they don't have like shipments coming in every morning, like they need to go like get the stuff. Like they will have what they have. Especially in like a real small town. If you have a tavern in a real small town, my go-to is perpetual stool. Stool.
Yeah.
Not
Whoa.
perpetual
I was
stool. That's
yeah, shut up,
a
Hunter.
horrible curse.
I wish I had a button to like really like do things in this moment, like an interconnected like overlay situation where it's like "Brr, Hunter's canceled."
What's
Like,
what's worse is I tried to say it, felt it was wrong, kept saying it, repeated it. It still was the same. I could not find stew.
it's like it's
Yeah.
leaving your hands in slow motion. You're like, no, what are you doing? Why
Yeah.
are you doing
Perpetual
that? Yeah.
stool. Stew is the
As
word I'm
soon as
looking
you
for.
stopped talking, I was gonna bring up like a never-ending
Yeah.
stew situation.
As
That's
soon-
also my favorite.
As soon as you shut up, Hunter.
As soon as you shut your train wreck of a mouth situation you have going on over there, I was gonna bring it up, but in a non-fucked up way. It's these glasses, dude. I don't like this. I'm sorry. That was just wrong, and I
Oh, man.
apologize. That was not a good friend thing to do.
I just
I'm
got
sorry.
roasted. Yeah, I think perpetual stew is a very easy one to throw in there. For anybody who is unfamiliar, perpetual stew is like they would have just a big cauldron of stew, and whatever they had got dumped into there, and it just keeps going. So like there's never a like at any given time they will have no way of telling you everything that is in that stew.
Yeah.
But
I
I'm
always have
always a
them
fan.
roll and like to see if they could figure out what meat is in there. And I
Yeah.
was just like, oh yeah, that's chicken, and that's you think that's beef.
Yeah.
Beef?
Yeah.
Beef. And it's just like they always have to kind of go like, wait, what am I eating? And I'm like, it doesn't taste wrong. It all
Right.
tastes good.
Yeah.
Like it's like, you can hate sweet things or sour things.
Yeah.
So I'm not telling you how to taste things, but conventionally this tastes good. It doesn't feel off. It's just one of those things where you like that's fish, right? That okay, I'm pretty sure that's fish. And you're just like, having trouble, and that part can be disconcerting. And then I've also had people have that be like, are we being poisoned? Are we being fed
Oh,
people? Are there no
100%. Yeah.
are there no patrons here because they're in the
Yeah.
stew?
Yeah. I've done the you hope it's squirrel. Like
Ooh, oh
the
yeah,
and,
yeah, yeah.
and they're like, what is that? What does that mean? Like you hope it's squirrel. It tastes quite a bit like squirrel.
If it ain't,
You really hope it's not rat. I've also been like, it tastes like pork.
oh yeah, oh
Like
yeah, oh yeah. Put
I
in a
also
question mark.
yeah, I also like the it's not chicken. Like just don't tell them what it is. Tell them like
Tell 'em
one
what it
thing
is.
it
Yep.
absolutely isn't. Like it's not beef. You're certain of that. Well, what is it? It's not beef.
I think I haven't done it since I've added this to my lexicon, but I do want to go, like, it's just like, so what's in this? It's like, I'll tell you what, it ain't it. What is that? What do you mean? It's like, yo, this soup, it's just like, it's not bad, but it ain't it.
Yeah.
It's like, what information are you conveying to me
Yeah.
right now? Like, I don't fully understand. I was like, with a 3, I'm telling you right now, it ain't it. It's just like, am I gonna die? Am I
Yeah.
gonna die right now?
Make a con save. And they make a con save and they roll pretty well and you're like, okay, nothing happens. And somebody else like eats it and you're like, make a con save. And they roll poorly and you're like, yeah, food poisoning. Like it's just you're just uncomfy. Your stomach is very upset right now.
You fall into a pit of never-ending stools. It's just tiny chairs falling into you.
Somebody brings out like a tray with miniature stools on it so you can pick which one you want to sit on. That's their stool sample. Anyway, so we when we're talking about taverns, for anybody who just listens to the show, Junie looks like he's gonna leave the call. So anyway, with the tavern, there's a
I hate
few.
this. I hate this shop more. Can I
That's
tell you
your
right now? I hate this.
your new Twitter profile.
I hate it. Anyway,
So anyway, you're in a tavern. I think
so
there's
yeah.
I we've kind of touched on like what is the stuff that is uh like this is something you need to be there, right? Like we said there needs to be information, there needs to be some sort of like food or drink, like even if it's a like an inn, right, where it's not
Mhm.
necessarily focused on
Yeah.
a sort of bar space.
Lodgings are like you can an inn can have food, but it doesn't make it a tavern necessarily. It could act as the local tavern if like that's an aspect of it, but a tavern could have some rooms type of thing too.
Rosie just dropped in the chat. I have something very specific in mind for what I'm about to do. I will send it in the group chat and then redeem 10,000 points for do something crazy. And I'm so scared.
Oh dear God. Why is it just
It just says Rosie is typing. But yeah, I think I think you need to have
I'm stretching.
That's amazing. That's a that is
Like, can I
that is
take like
that
this
is fully
specific one,
your
or do I
choice.
have to like can I take a picture, or do I have to make this specific one my Twitter picture?
I think it can be either the one that I screenshot or the one that Rosie screenshot, which is really funny that they are like the exact same moment. But yeah, you could do either one. Anyway,
I was okay. All right.
if you're
Well,
listening to if you're listening or watching the show, keep your eyes on Junie's Twitter account. The so anyway, um there are these things that are
all right.
like important integral parts of uh the tavern experience. There's the the food or drink, and we've touched on it could be an inn. If it's an inn, like there still should be some level of like food and drink available, even if it's not like a full-on tavern. If it's a small tavern and they don't really do food, they should probably still have some sort of food available, even if it's just like they have a pot of perpetual stew that they are able to do bowls of. If it's a like anything like that. The bartender should have information. There should probably be at least one other NPC in the bar to like interact with. Are there other things that you feel like are important to the sort of starting in a tavern experience?
There, I think. Oh God, I can't make the whole thing my picture. Oh, hold on. I could just make my eyeball. All right, I got to go to Canva. Uh, uh, there. I think there is a feature that is interchangeable between the barkeep and people,
Mhm.
and it is a job board, a quest board,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and it is basically the mechanism in which the people get like an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen that people can kind of almost like GMs will interchangeably use an NPC or the barkeep
Yep.
as the source of that information, the source of that request,
Yep.
or just have it as instead of me having to come up with four personalities or
Right. Yeah.
like it's I put them all there
Yeah.
so that
Yeah.
way I don't have to do the mental gymnastics of like the people that have to like deliver that information. I
Mm-hmm.
relegate that to a piece of paper, which I think is like
Yeah.
a fair thing. Not everybody needs to be, juggle that many people. It
Yeah.
can kind of be like it just exists. If you want to add a person to like, give them the money and whatever, you'll
Mm-hmm.
come up with an NPC, but it doesn't have to be like, oh, I need to think of that many people. I think but
I
there is something in there where it's unless you are literally catering to your group and going like they want something to drink, so I just gave them a tavern.
right.
There's kind of a point.
Right. There should be an objective to going there.
Yeah,
If it is
if there
a
is an objective, they're getting one, or there's
right,
just something that it's not just like literally you get some to drink and then you dip.
right. If they're starting in a tavern,
Mhm.
there needs to be a reason for them to start in a tavern. My go-to for that has always been I have a town in my world called Wolfdell that kind of um built up a name for themselves by being a hub for adventurers. And so like it's not really on the like it's kind of out of the way to go there.
Mhm.
But because they are built for adventurers, there are like magic item shops and blacksmiths and stuff like that that are very, very skilled. They also have a tavern there that is like has a very extensive quest board. And so a lot of the time I will have that be the tavern that people go to start their adventure, because then it's like this is a quest board that is specifically built up there, that is like the existence of this quest board is enough to draw people there to be the reason that you're starting in a tavern. If it's a small town tavern, something that I've seen a lot of GMs kind of stumble over is with a quest board specifically, you have to have a reason for it to be on the quest board of the tavern in this small town.
Yeah.
Like the
Otherwise, it's just clearly you fished things out of a
Right.
book and then slapped it on there, and it's like, okay.
The number of times that I've been like in an adventure and it's like, okay, we're in this tiny town and there is a missive from the arch like wizard of so and so being like, I'm looking for the strongest adventurers. It's like, okay, why are you putting it in like this little backwater like town? There's no reason for it to be here.
Yep.
So like if you're a big city, sure, that makes sense that they would put it up there, but if you're like in the middle of nowhere, why? um I've been a fan of using the barkeep as a quest board,
Yeah.
where like because we touched on the barkeep always knows things, like the person behind the bar has their ears open, they hear stories. So instead of having a uh like this is the quest, like here are all of the specifics about that quest, and you have to have everything to put it up on a quest board, because also that's a lot of information for the players to kind of like sort through to decide
Mhm.
which one they want. And then they're like weighing, okay, well this one it would take us longer to get to, but like it would pay us more, and this one is like way more complicated, but it has the highest pay, and like all of that. It's just like, okay, well, what sort of job are you looking for? Oh, okay, well, I heard stories about this guy a couple towns over is looking for a group to go find this thing. And it gives them kind of like immediate feedback and gives the players a
Mhm.
way to kind of voice what they are looking for. um but yeah, I like a tavern keeper who is the not a quest giver, but like somebody to connect them
It's
to the
he is
quest
the board.
giver.
He is the board. He is an interactive board. Did you hear all that?
Yeah, I didn't hear everything, but is your kiddo okay?
Yeah. Shanice is there. I think she's just like up and like wanting attention,
Mm,
and
rough
she
morning.
saw me. Yeah, everybody's having a rough morning. Yeah, it was 7 something, and I was like, "Oh crap, I'm late. It's 11:35." Like I
Yeah,
was just like, "Why is it so sunny?"
yeah,
But yeah, he is essentially the interactive McDonald's board. Instead of you ordering, it's like, oh, he has more input. He can give you more type of thing. Yeah.
right. Yeah, instead of going to DoorDash and scrolling through to figure out where you want to order from, you're calling one DoorDasher who's like, hey, where's the best place in this area?
Yes.
But yeah, I like a good tavern keeper. I think my one other thing that I don't think we've touched on is if you are starting in a tavern, if you are like, this is where you guys are starting, there has to be something interesting and unique about that tavern, to be like something that the players will remember as, oh, you remember that tavern we met in, like it had this thing. Like the one in Wolfdell, that tavern
Yes. Yeah.
is a an ancient primordial dragon was killed in that spot, and the skull of the dragon is still there and is like on the front of the tavern. And so you like, when I went to Myrtle Beach forever ago, there was a souvenir shop there, where you had to walk through these like giant like shark jaws in order to get into the shop. And I've always remembered that for whatever reason. It stuck with me. And so it's very much the same way in this, for this tavern, is like the dragon's skull is there and you have to like go through the mouth of the dragon to access the door of the tavern. But like if you have something unique and special about the tavern, then it's where they get that first quest, but it can also become somewhere that is like a place they return to. It can serve as a home base. It can become that thing where like they've rented out that that top floor suite that that's where
Mhm.
they're staying. They're like operating out of here. They're becoming friends with the locals or the tavern keeper and stuff like that. But like the first step to that is making sure that that tavern space is a memorable one. And so that could be a physical thing about the tavern that is going to be memorable. It could be a name that's really fun. It could be like the staff of the tavern are memorable. But ideally, you want like all of those things to kind of play together to give the players a place. Like this is a cool place that we want to go back to. Like there is when I was in Texas for a convention, there was a little bar right around the corner, and it was called Lee Harvey's. And we went there, and it was this like really like hole in the wall place, but it was awesome. The food was really good, the drinks were really good, the staff was really fun. And it was this like really kind of fun environment that like stuck with us. And then pretty much every night for the rest of the like week that we were there, we were going there after like we were done with everything else, because like it was an easy place to go to, and it was right around the corner. It was cool little dive. And so like that place stuck with us. Um, I've also gone to a lot of regular bars at a bunch of different conventions that I have no memories of, other than yeah, we went there.
It was a
We
thing. It was a
Yeah, it was
place
a
that, yeah,
place.
it was a
Um,
throwaway place.
but like the I remember the name of that place. I remember what it looked like. I remember the energy inside. I remember what I ordered. I remember the bar staff. Like that place stuck with me because each of those things worked together to play on different elements of my memory. Like I would be very, very hard pressed to tell
That's a
you
really big
any other place I
thing.
had
Yeah.
been.
That's always a big thing, and it's a solid GM trick that if you can play on multiple senses, like it's going to like lock it in. So it's like
Yeah.
I try to do that for any place. So it's just like sight, sound, smell. Like, does the air taste funny?
Hmm.
If you do that, it makes it easier for like if you're like a bullet point note taker, where it's just
Yeah.
like if you have a big elaborate sweeping soliloquy description, okay, great on you. But if you just want to go 3 things about this place, you can riff off of it smells like this, it
Yeah.
tastes like this,
Yeah.
it gives this vibe. You can give like that's a solid for like any location. It's gonna make it easier for you to describe and
Yeah.
get your head into, and it's gonna make everybody remember it.
It gives you an immediate like bullet point of things that you are trying to create descriptions for. But it also gives the players different things that they can latch onto. And especially with a tavern, like smell, taste, sounds, like they're all very, very easy things to have
Yep.
incorporated into those environments. Excuse me. Um, so if you give them those, it helps maintain those in the memories. It also, I found that different players have different senses that resonate with them more than others.
Yeah.
So like one player will, if you describe how something smells, that will stick with them. Another player, if you go really in depth on the visuals of something, that's what's going to resonate with them. If you describe a sound or like an energy or something like that, that resonates with somebody else. And so if you make a point to make sure that you are hitting multiple things in your descriptions, then you are also ensuring that those players are going to have their best attempt at remembering it by giving them things that their memories will latch onto. And then as a group, they're much more likely to remember everything because different things have resonated with different people. Any other tavern tips and tricks, Junie?
A question,
Yeah.
like your opinion: is entertainment necessary?
Ooh,
I
like
feel like in a tavern,
some
there's
sort of
always when you
performer or
Google
something.
like tavern sounds, there's usually like
Yeah.
a lute playing, like a
Yeah.
flute. Like there's almost like always supposed to be like a bard in the corner, and I rarely do that. I don't always have music or entertainment,
Sure.
but I know it's a very common thing. If you Google tavern noises, there is
Yeah.
like
There's
like
always like
Greensleeves is playing. You know what I mean? Something like that.
doo-doo-doo-doo.
So how do you feel? Do you feel that if it's more of a fleshed out tavern, like people, things, it's jumping, it's a Friday night, music, like entertainment?
Um, I think if it is a I think that whatever the vibe you're going for should be heightened by any additional like entertainment that you are describing. So if you are describing it as this
The
like
skirp, the skirp.
discurrent discurb it, if you're describing it as a like lively place, there's a lot of people and stuff like that, you can have a bard up on like a little stage playing music, and like work that into the energy. If it is a like a small little like backwoods tavern, they probably don't have a bard performing, because the other thing to keep in mind is that most bards are not paid by a tavern. They
Like the
are
patrons,
like
yeah.
the tavern is willing to give them like something to drink, something to eat, maybe a room, depending on like what the situation is, in exchange for the bard playing there, and then the bard like gets tips usually.
Tips, yeah.
And so in a little like backwoods place, no bard is going through there to begin with. If there is a bard, like they are probably an interesting NPC that somebody wants to talk to, because they are like, why are they there? I like some form of music in my taverns usually. So I might have like instead of an actual like bard, maybe just somebody is kind of like just sitting over by the fire, like playing some sort of instrument, like plucking at a lute or something like that. The But it doesn't necessarily need to be a full-fledged like bard performing. I've also had situations where the party walks in and there's like somebody reading poetry up on a stage, or like a few different people who are doing a performance of something, or I had jugglers in one of my taverns once. But it depends on the situation. It's also like, if you are like a dark, gritty, like this is where like seedy underbelly meetings take place, like the Thieves Guild does deals out of this tavern sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like they probably don't have a bard performing. But you might still want like some sort of music maybe. It depends. I played in a game once with a GM who had made a homebrew cantrip for their game, which just allowed you to like conjure some music out of the air.
Ooh.
And so all of his taverns, like, there weren't necessarily performers, but pretty much every tavern we would go into, somebody had cast like the little cantrip to make like little almost like a dancing lights thing that would float in the air, but it would play music. And occasionally you'd see like the bartender would like pull out a wand and kind of like wave it at the thing, and the notes would kind of rearrange and it would change into something else. So you could do something like that. I like some level of entertainment at a tavern, just because it like adds something to it, but also it needs to match the energy of the tavern you're in. Some taverns will have like a fight pit that people are just like throwing punches in. Some will have like a live performance. Others are gonna have like fantasy strip club. Like it depends on the
I haven't had that one. I was just like, yeah, these are all features, common things, and I was like,
yeah.
fantasy strip club. Oh my god, wait a second, hold on.
I have one bar in my world that is called the Prancing Tiger, and it is a like a hookah lounge. And so I always describe it as like you enter and are immediately hit with just a wall of smoke. There's like music playing that you can't quite find the source of. The tables are all like down on the ground with like cushions around them. Like that's sort of the energy in that space. I love that location. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, I think some form of activity, like it doesn't necessarily need to be a like super hands-on, but listening to the music, watching the performer, like maybe like darts or cards or like a dice game or something like that, some like additional thing that can be done, is a very good addition to any tavern, in my opinion. I'm sorry, you asked a very simple question that I rambled for a very long time about it.
No, it was good. It definitely filled the time in which it took me to modify that screenshot into my profile picture, make it my profile picture, and post it. Uh, so that's my Twitter picture right now. But it is those were all like key things that I think are very common and very interchangeable. Um, there's ways to get like the same vibe or function in so many different ways. You know what I mean? Whether it's like what it offers as far as like, sustenance, the source of information, whether it's the barkeep, a board, or like other patrons, and there's like rumors and such like that. It's a hub of information, and then how to make it not just a tavern. What drives people, why drives it here? So if it's like, oh, this is the source of food or drink, like entertainment, all that, or is it also used as it's the inn? Oh, there's a fight club underneath. Oh,
Yeah.
thief guild meet. Like it's like it
Yeah.
it can serve an auxiliary purpose as
Yes.
well. And just making it more useful for the
Yeah.
person, the GM. But it's also like it invites exploration, and it's one of those things where if you think of like the pillars of TTRPGs, where it's just like, okay, there's exploration, there's social, and there's combat. Like all of them can happen at a tavern. It can be like, you're just there and you're interacting with patrons. Oh, we have to go underneath and discover a fight club. Like,
Yep.
they're like exploring and figuring out new aspects of things, or literally like a bar fight. I think my favorite bar fight I've ever done was to like just GM shenanigans. Like the situation, it was my friend's first time playing, so I had a crazy brawl go, but I knew I was gonna have everybody die. Like everybody but them was gonna die. So I had them like throw some fights in there, and then everybody was gonna slapstick fall on swords. Like one guy threw a goblin into a fire. Like everybody took each other out. And then I think the funniest part was people kept falling on the same sword. Like so it was like a skewered, like just a shish kebab of dudes like kept getting accidentally thrown on there.
I love an accidental bit, or like a bit that just keeps growing.
It was definitely like somebody got skewered, and then I was like, oh, he'd be here, he would slip. So then it was like a double. So that was the
Yeah.
accident. But then I was like, well, I wonder how many more people I could fit on that thing.
Right.
And then it just got to the point where like, okay, now it's just me challenging myself to see
Right.
how many people I can kill with this sword.
Yeah.
But like, and then it was just the three of them standing. Are we good? Are we good? And then they did, and there was a little bit in the back of my soul that I was like, technically, they could also elect to keep fighting and hurting each other because it was their meet in a tavern moment.
Right.
So they could have been like, well, we're all fighting to the death. So I mean, I don't know that
Yeah.
asshole over there. So they
Yeah.
could have elected to keep fighting, but they were like, "We good?
Yeah.
We good?" And then they
we're
stopped.
all fine, right?
But my friends like homebrew, my friend's home campaign could have ended like right then with, well, I mean, a fight broke out there. Everybody just killed each other. It was wild.
Yeah.
Like we ended it right then and there.
Yeah. You kind of touched on something that I think is a good note, which is the scale of the tavern, of like,
Mhm.
this is a small little place in a little middle of nowhere. This is a big tavern over here, like that sort of stuff. I think it's really important to keep note of the environment in which the tavern exists. I've seen a lot of GMs who will have the the same type of tavern regardless of the town that it's in.
Mm,
If you are a little like one road town in the middle of
yeah.
nowhere, there's no reason for you to go there. Like the tavern realistically only exists for the purpose of uh having a place for people to like drink,
Mhm.
having a place for like people to pass through and like stay for the night if they need to. If you are in
Mhm.
a place where like nobody is going through there, then they don't necessarily need rooms. Like there's no
Yep.
need for like an in portion. um
Yep.
the I've done places where like it's a little tavern, they have like one bunk room upstairs, which is like, if you need a room, you can like go in there, and like it's just rows of bunk beds, find a bed, like that is it. I've had taverns that are like, oh yeah, very very nice rooms, like opulent even. It depends on what you are, like the space in which it exists. But also you mentioned like a thieves guild having a base there, like
Yep.
stuff like that. If there are additional things that aren't immediately visible from surface level, you can also pull on those things to give clues to your players about stuff. Like
Yep.
I've dropped the like, uh this place is suspiciously nice. Like the
Mhm.
for a town this size in the middle of nowhere, there's no reason for a tavern like this to exist. Like you can give your players that information because they live in this world. If I was driving through the middle of like I don't know, Iowa, I'm driving through Iowa and I go to like a tiny little place in the middle of nowhere, and it's like there's nothing here, like a town so small there's not a McDonald's or a Starbucks, but there is a massive Dave and Buster's. I'm gonna be like, why? Why is why is this here? Like, the population of this town is smaller than some high schools. Like, why is this massive Dave and Buster's here?
The Dave and Buster's
Um,
is the high school, and everybody's earning like college credit. Like they're so
I
every
I hit
employee
the
is like
I
a
hit the jackpot.
shitty
I hit the
teenager. Yeah.
jackpot on that game. So I'd like to redeem my 8,000 tickets for my high school diploma, please.
Oh, that's funny because I was gonna say I thought you were redeeming the ticket. And the ticket counter was like, yeah, hold on. Yeah, hold on. And they're just on their phone, and it's just like, can I redeem my tickets now? It's just like, why does the customer service here suck?
Yeah,
Everybody's in high school. Like, oh damn.
yeah.
There's
Uh,
also one little thing where I think it is, and I don't think it's. You tell me if this is vital or not.
sure.
A secret
Ooh,
in that it is the Thieves Guild. It is the
right.
whatever. My personal favorite secret is if it is a smaller
Mm,
tavern or something that is older or in the middle of nowhere, something like that, where it's like it's not traversed a lot or whatever the
yeah,
situation is. Underneath the counter, underneath the floorboard, under a like a crate,
yeah,
there is the most hardcore moonshine.
yeah,
If somebody asks for something harder or something like that, it is an ordeal to get. They technically have it.
yeah,
And it's always like, for some reason, the more rundown, older, off the beaten path place, because Hunter, you know, I like to go the opposite direction. It's a younger barkeep that is
Mhm.
inherited from their parent, or they're running
Right.
it because their parent. It's just like,
Yeah.
so it's just like, yeah, dad does have something under. Yeah, one second, I guess. Let me. And
Yeah.
I call my moonshine devil's piss. So it's like, he calls it devil's piss. If you want some, I won't charge you because I don't even know how to charge for this.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. And then it's like they pour it and they cover it with a plate and they like shove it closer to you, like,
Yeah.
and like nobody's ever ordered this. I wonder what'll happen.
Yeah.
But like, there's something there where it's just like, ooh, you're rewarding the effort it took to literally try.
Yeah.
If you do more than the surface, like, what do I see? A board, I go talk to it. Dude
Yeah.
over there, I talk to it. If you do something where it's just like, I noticed this, can I ask about this? And they just do that little bit of extra something or other, there
Mhm.
is a reward. Like, oh, there was a piece of gum with a magic ring underneath this. Like, just something where it's like, okay, you took the effort to literally, do beyond the
Mhm.
surface level, like railroad situation.
Yeah.
Here's something for you.
Yeah. I think that's very, very good. There should always be something beneath the surface for the players to find if they want to. And it can be a wide array of things. Like it could be something very simple. It could be but like whatever it is should have a reward or a way to use that information or something like that. Like it could be as simple as in one of my taverns, I had the players found carved underneath the table was like a heart with two names in it,
Oh
and
God.
like
Nope.
they met one of those people later, and found out that they were single, and they were like, oh well, what about this person? And they were like, what about him? And they told him about the thing, and they like did this whole little like set these two up, who like the one person had like loved this person forever and the other person had secretly loved them, but they had never like had the conversation about it, and so they like set up this whole thing. It can be something as small as like just a little like interpersonal thing.
I,
It can
I'm
be
such a I'm a terrible person because I immediately thought of like, well, that's when they found out that in gnomish culture, if you write two names in a heart,
it's a
heart is where you
curse.
bottle up your rage. No, hate is like that. Your heart is where you hold your
Yeah,
rage.
yeah,
So if you
yeah.
put names in there, it's like these are like I
These
want to fight the person in my heart.
yeah.
So they just brought together what they thought was a lovely like love match, and it's really like I can finally kill you.
Or it's like it's like a ritual of like I hate these, like kind of like Death Note of like
Oh
I
my
hate these
gosh.
people.
Oh no.
And so
If
you've
they're
just
ever brought together, they will die.
somebody in town hates both of those people, and you just got those two
Ooh.
people together, and now like it's just I hate both of them so much.
The conditions have been met.
Yeah. I that's very funny. But yeah, put some sort of secret. I like Devil's Piss. That's very like a very good name. Mine is Skull Splitter, which
Hmm.
is it is always in a skull. That like the like eye holes have been like sealed up with wax. And so in order to like get it out, you have to like get that wax out of the eye hole, and then it pours out through the eye. Alternatively, they will like crack the skull open to be able to pour it out. But it is part of it is from this like battle between different people who are like trying to like be the people who had the strongest alcohol, and eventually I think it was I'd have to look back at my lore, but I think it was the dwarves were like, we will not be beaten, we will create something that is like unable to make something stronger because it is just the strongest. It is not good, it is like absolutely horrible, you run the risk of like all of this stuff if you drink it, but it is technically the strongest thing, and it has fermented spinal fluid in it. And so there are variations of
That's
it, but
just wrong.
the strongest one has fermented draconic spinal fluid in it.
That's just wrong.
Um,
That's wrong and problematic. Just in a
it,
lot of that's just so
yeah,
many.
it's wild. It's not humanoid spinal fluid. It's other stuff. But anyway,
It's
this
a crime. It's a crime in four realms. It's a crime.
uh,
You
I think we've covered our bases. I think there's a lot to pull from here. Any last thoughts before we wrap, Jenny?
um use a tavern wisely.
Yeah.
Like don't underestimate it. If you are trying to get them literally just in and out, you're gonna have to just destroy that bastard. Because
Mm.
if you don't have it, if you don't have some of the elements, I think that, in my opinion, if you don't have some of the elements that we've discussed, like just kind of in your back pocket,
Mm-hmm.
you're setting yourself up for like that, like, oh, okay, I've talked myself into here, and now I got to come up with this, and it's just
Right.
like, if
Yeah.
you just go, have that secret, have that mission, have that dude, have that food, have something,
Yeah.
because otherwise you're going in there and everybody's seen a GM flounder,
Sure.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, it's one thing if it's just like, oh, I didn't expect them to go to this house, and now I got to think about this person in their house. A
Yeah.
tavern is like, bro, if you have this town, if it's a module, you have this town, you have this tavern already. If you have this, this is your fantasy world, and well, then you should know what would people here want to eat or
Mhm.
drink. Like, there's just so many things where it's just like, that's on you. If
Yeah.
if you phoned it in and then you're like making it harder for yourself, it's like you could have avoided that very simply by just like 2 or 3 bullet points of
Mhm.
like food, dude, fight club, like literally anything, just to go like, okay, we're good. So don't underestimate it. You don't have to be elaborate. You don't have to have everything, but
Mhm.
if you have 1 or 2 things, it won't at least make it seem like, oh, I wasn't expecting this and I don't have this. You have a stew,
Yeah.
you have a like an aspiring actor barkeep, and you have like a magic item somewhere. It's like, okay, this has been great.
Yeah.
Now that we've done they'll feel like I've done everything and we
Right.
can move on now. And so it's not like, them trying to, I've definitely had people almost hunt
Yeah.
for the thing.
Where they're looking to I think that's a good note of like if you're putting a secret or something in there, that is a secret that is there if they find it. But like it should never be something that is like, this is the thing that they have to find. It's an Easter egg or bonus content.
Yeah, like they're like looking for and then they're not taking the hint of like, okay, this is the thing you got to do. And they're like, yeah. I see that the mission's over there, but there's gotta be something.
Right.
Like, what else can I do?
Why else
and it's
would
just
we
like,
be here?
Exactly. You don't want them to feel that.
Yeah. I think that's a good one. That can be our first call to action.
Go to a bar.
Just
if you're of age.
Be prepared for a tavern if you're going to be putting them into it. Like, don't underestimate it.
Pre-prep tavern. Yeah.
We'll say second one. If your players are going to a tavern, but there's not like anything that you wanted to do there, they're not like there for a specific reason or something like that. It's just like, we're in this town, so we need a room for the night. Don't be afraid as the GM to be like, did anybody have anything they wanted to do in the tavern tonight? Otherwise, we'll cut to the morning and we'll head out. If there is nothing that you had planned for them to do, and you're like in the groove of things and they're just passing through, don't be afraid to be like, okay, I don't have anything for this. Like, I don't have anything that I like. There's no points here. There's no like story beats. If there's anything that they want to do, taverns are great places to like have those inner party moments and stuff like that.
Just be a tavern.
It can also just be a tavern.
It can just be like, guys, this is just a tavern. We could make it a thing.
Yeah.
If you want it to be a thing, but I'm not forcing a tavern on you. You don't have to. It doesn't have to be. It's not everybody's vibe.
Yeah.
Not everybody doesn't have to necessarily want a tavern vibe.
Yeah.
It's a fun thing, but otherwise, if it's just like, oh, I want to keep going to that cool thing we're going, it's like, I'm not gonna drop this roadblock of a tavern
Right.
that you have to solve my tavern puzzle before
Right.
you can keep doing the thing you want to do.
It's
Yeah,
the
definitely.
same energy as like I know GMs that'll be like every single night. We are like you're setting up your watches, we're rolling perception checks, there's
Oh, God,
opportunity.
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah,
I know
yeah,
people every single night of your trip is going to be that.
Yep.
I'm much more of a like, okay, we're going to roll to see like how good this
Is something
trip
happening?
is.
Yeah,
Like, is
yeah.
something going to happen? Okay, cool. I might have you set up camp a couple of times on your way somewhere, but like, we're not going to do every single night because it's wild. So second one is like, don't be afraid to be like, hey, this is just a tavern. If anybody has anything, awesome, we can absolutely do them. Like, don't take that away from your players if they had something they wanted to do, if there was a reason they wanted to go to the tavern. But it doesn't need to be a full like hour and a half, 2 hours of your session is spent like in this tavern trying to figure stuff out that isn't in this
Correct.
tavern.
Yeah.
Last one. Let's see. You as the GM are allowed to say you won't
No
find
free refills.
no free refills. You as the GM are allowed to say you won't find that here. Like we always like yes and like Judy, you and I are both very much a like rule of cool. Like we want the players to have the story they want to have. I have had players in my games go to taverns and like try and get information about things that there's no reason anyone here would have information on that thing.
Oh, yeah.
You are
I know
allowed to.
It's just like no one here knows that.
Yeah.
Like, what do you like? I'm giving you you have like the spidey sense. It might be over there. That's me being ultra generous.
Right.
That's me going like, yo, your intuition thinks maybe over blank. That's me helping you.
Yeah.
No one here knows what the hell
you
you're talking
are.
about.
You are allowed to say nobody. Like you are in the middle of nowhere. Nobody here will know anything about this thing. If they're like, oh, can I ask around to see if like I can find anything? You are absolutely allowed to say you're welcome to like check around. You look around this room, you're fairly confident that like nobody's going to know anything.
Make it you make it that they've come to the you make it to that they've come to the decision because then it's just like you're smart enough, you're experienced enough.
Yeah.
You can come to the decision using your like you've puzzled out enough where you have come to this conclusion. You can safely come to this conclusion and feel confident in it.
Yeah.
Instead, so that's a good way for you to be like, you know, I'm telling you no, but it's you are coming to the decision that it's a no.
Yeah.
It's not I'm telling you, it's you are smart enough. You're like, haha, I've deduced this. So you're making it a victory for them that they've puzzled it out and not like you're denying them.
Yeah. It's not a like a hard no, you can't do that. It's a you're very good at what you do, so you know that this isn't
worth
not
to waste your time. Yeah. You are. This isn't worth. This is beneath you, kid.
Cool. Well, that wraps us up for today. Thanks for hanging out, Junie. Thanks everybody else for being here with us this morning. We will be back on Friday with some more nonsense. Junie, after Friday, I am gone for a bit. So we're not gonna have episodes for a little while unless we want to like try and do something while I'm gone. I don't know how well my laptop will run
solo
it.
epised. It's me like this, like, all right, guys. I don't know what to do without Hunter.
There's so many buttons.
Why does Hunter have so many buttons? He shipped me so many buttons.
They're not connected to anything.
Can I spoil something? I'll spoil right here. I'll say it right now. I'm not going to do it, but if it was ever a thing where you were like, oh, Jenny, you can just go live without me, I was going to legitimately like start it and make it a good 30 seconds to 1 minute of just me speaking Spanish. And like, just somebody's like, hola, bienvenidos a Warlocks Waffles.
Redo our whole overlay into Spanish and everything.
I was going to just speak Spanish for a good minute.
Amazing.
And people go, I didn't know that there was a Spanish TTRPG and and maybe pre-planned subtitles where that's just
Yeah.
like Warlocks and Waffles now 100% Puerto Rican. Like it was gonna be like I had a full thing where I was just like, if he goes and he's just like, hey, you want to do the show? I'll be like, oh man, how much would I want to commit to myself
Right.
of doing it,
Yeah.
holding the bit? And I was like, I could do 30 seconds, a minute. I couldn't do more than that of just because then people are gonna be confused or like I'm gonna get a completely wildly different demographic, and it's just gonna be so funny. If Hunter's like, "Hey, everybody, welcome back," and it's just like, "Hey, bienvenido, get that," and it's just like all this Spanish in the chat. All of a sudden, it's like, Junie, there's
Junie,
like welcome,
we went
bienvenidos,
everybody viral in Puerto
but
Rico.
Yeah, we were just like Ecuador, like
yeah.
Everybody's
I can bring my my laptop and stuff, and like I don't know what the Wi-Fi will be like, and I don't know what it'll be like trying to run the stream from my laptop instead of my regular computer. But I will bring it with me. But
we'll do
I
mobile
will be
setups. We'll literally just be on our phones. It'll just be us be side by side with no overlay, but it will literally just be like out there doing the thing.
But otherwise I leave like first thing in the morning on Saturday. So I will be gone for the 17th, the 21st, and the 24th for episodes. So I'll bring my stuff. We'll see if we can do something,
We'll
but
figure something out.
we'll figure it out.
If not, we'll have some things for people to chew on. So
Yeah.
all right.
Otherwise, have a great rest of your week, everybody. We will be back on Friday. And until then, remember to embrace the nonsense, and we'll see you then. Bye, y'all.